Welcome to Thinking Green. I'm your host tonight, Janice Stack, sitting in for Ronna Stoller, who couldn't be here this week. And this evening, I have two very special guests. I have two representatives of Fiddleheads Food Co-op, Sheila Herbert and Amelia Lord. They were supposed to be here on Thinking Green on the 29th, and plans went awry. They were going to talk about the pre-birthday celebration. So now they're here to talk about post-birthday. Fiddleheads has just celebrated, as of the first Saturday of February, its 5th anniversary. And didn't the 4th anniversary just happen yesterday? It's just amazing. 5 years for Fiddleheads. First of all, please welcome. Thank you for coming on board, and please tell me a little bit, share a little bit about the birthday. How did it go, Sheila?
Well, our 5th birthday anniversary was phenomenal. It was much better than I expected, I guess. I expected that it would be a good day, and we did prepare for it. We had this year 2 great coordinators, Kristen Damazio and help me here. It's her name escapes me this minute. But anyway, we had, yeah, it does.
Courtney?
It's true.
Courtney
Tyson.
Oh, yes, Courtney, yay,
Yeah.
Courtney.
And they really did a bang up job with music and advertising and etc. But things just bubbled right up. It was a beautiful winter day, and things bubbled up, and it was a great day.
Yeah.
There was live. There was a slate of live music all day, and the crowds were just immense. Was it a bigger? I remember last year. It seemed huge. The number of people got in. Was it comparable? Was it bigger? It felt bigger. Was that just my perception?
It was much bigger than last year. Yeah. I mean, it was hard to even navigate any aisles. I had people who came in the front door and said it was their first time ever in the store, and wow, it looks really impressive, but I'm leaving because I'm really overwhelmed. The crowds are too big. It was really dramatic, yeah.
And you were saying something in the green room. You guys moved just produce, just the produce department moved how much?
Yeah, well, we got 2 deliveries Thursday and Friday in advance of the birthday party, and total it was 6,000 pounds, slightly over 6,000 pounds, so
Wow.
3 tons. Yeah, Wendy Jakubowski and I moved that basically ourselves with some help, and at least once, because we had to take them off the pallets and then.
So was that a one-day record?
Yeah, definitely. I can't imagine another day that we would have done that much. Yeah.
Well, I think the thing that really makes it, there's a lot of things that make the birthday special. It's always an event. I mean, we have 10% off, but that's not what brings people in. We have the music. We have a very special farmers market that day, and and it's a farmers market, but it's a farmer/artisan market.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, you have people who make soap and people who make candy and so forth and so on. So it's, that added to the kind of fair-like atmosphere.
Yeah, definitely.
So it was quite neat.
There were really good activities for kids too.
And activities for kids.
Really
They
fun.
had their own space, and that was very nice. When we talk about the amount of people, the amount of people for me was just right to make it, bubbly, and so it was just right. But we talked about it. It's like, well, how many more people could we have?
Right.
And we're not quite sure. Maybe we'll have a 2-day event next year.
At one point, though, I was looking for you for at least 10 minutes. Because you were on the store, and I couldn't find you. And there were so many people that it was impossible.
I was trying to avoid you.
I know. But at one point, there's a bench at the end of one of the registers, and I stood up on it to see if I could spot you through the crowds. And I was amazed at the view. There were just, people packed down every aisle, and I would have liked to have my camera with me. But then I found you, and I told you to go take a picture. So.
Did you?
Oh, yes, took pictures.
It was really great.
Oh, great.
So, to me, this sort of talks about the nature of co-ops.
Right.
That they're community-oriented, that they're very family-friendly, that they pay attention to you as a customer. They also, it's also part of sustainability, supporting, you know, local economy, et cetera.
And there's been a lot of changes in the co-op in the last year. I mean, even just little things. Well, the new floor, new cash registers, and lines where you know, you can put in the numbers for all the bulk items. You've remodeled the cafe, which, if somebody hasn't been to Fiddleheads, you really must go. It's a charming little corner. Bike rack.
Awning.
Awning. How long has that been talked about?
Oh, and the electric door, sliding.
The sliding electric door. It's like it's a real store now. We've all grown up now, Ma.
It's to me, like, if you if you've been with Fiddleheads any amount of time, one of the real pleasures is that it is organic in its development. Because, you know, we started with, what, 20 feet of shelving for the store? And so everything, a sliding door is a celebration. An awning is a celebration. The floor, the shiny floor that was put down, it's a celebration. So, you know, every step of the way, you know, and then you get customers who come in and, oh, your store looks wonderful. Well, it especially looks wonderful if you had seen it from the beginning, you know. But we're still getting a lot of compliments on the store. And Amelia works in produce, and produce gets phenomenal compliments. And you should talk about that a little bit.
You're so sweet. Well, yeah, I don't really know what to say, and we'll be having a little clip in a little while that will show a little produce. But yeah, produce has come a long way. Wendy and I work really hard to keep it full and vibrant, and we have exacting standards. Which
You do.
We really do. Which hopefully, yeah, keep things looking really, really nice. And we get complimented on our greens regularly. We have luscious kale of many varieties, and
you're still carrying some local produce.
So right
even though
now,
it's not summer, but there's still things people can get that are local.
Yeah, you'll see. There's not a lot of local right now, just because of the time of year. But when the growing season starts, it's our priority really to have local. So pretty soon we'll have the farms will be gearing up and bringing their wonderful produce in. So soon, and there will be asparagus shortly, radishes and kale and all of that. It'll be really nice.
Now, Sheila, you're in charge of, correct me if I'm wrong, you're in charge of a lot of what I tend to call the dry goods. Anything that can be boxed or bottled or is already in a package, and you know, whether it's pasta or cookies or sauce or juices or whatever. A lot of, and I know all of the departments have experienced a lot of growth in the last year. In terms of your department, do you think there's room for more growth, or are you kind of maxed out for the moment? What are your plans for what you want to see in the store for this coming year?
Oh, good question. I don't think Fiddleheads will ever be maxed out. Okay, so there's always room for growth. You know, when I think of where the store would go, I tend to think in terms of the whole store. You know, so I'm thinking in terms of, oh boy, it would be nice if we had a bakery. It would be nice if we had a deli, hot foods. I really look forward to it. It's a couple of years down the road, or maybe less, but that will be really nice when we have those things. So when I think about how the store expands, I kind of think about the whole store and the outside of the store and what's happening on the outside of the store. And, you know, how can, you know, I just think we can build in so many ways. We can build, you know, with, yes, a cafe, but also, what about plants and, you know, more hardware perhaps? And I'm not the only one thinking that way. There's lots of people thinking that way, and we have several buyers, and they're all thinking that way. The expansion as kind of a whole, and then how does your department fit in with that, or how do you need to make adjustments in your department to accommodate those things? So that's how I look at it.
It is nice that the co-op gets to grow organically, just like you said, because these things do evolve and expand. And I had another thought along there, but I forgot what it was. And it's nice that it's a cooperative effort in the sense that you're not just aware of your department. And we have this great product request book in the front, and that's such a fun thing to have somebody come in and say, hey, do you have this completely random item? And say, no, but that's a great idea, and write it in the book. And so that way the co-op gets to grow along with the membership, and so it reflects really the people who shop there. And
so people really use that book?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I use it all the time. I think, I like this, like my little note to Sheila, or
she really does. She really does. That's a good question too, because what that book does for us, and what members and customers, because you don't have to be a member to shop at Fiddleheads. So what they do is they clue us in to trends and clue us into, okay, where do we need to be focusing here? I mean, there's a few things out there like the raw foods, and that's not new anymore. But the paleo diet is fairly new, as far as hearing requests for the paleo diet, and so if you pay attention, you learn a lot from the customers as to where you want to expand also.
That's what's nice about a co-op as a reflection of the community that it's in. I mean, I really love visiting co-ops when I travel, and it's a good way to get a sense of that place, and so.
It is, because,
it's really neat. We carry what the people around here want, so it's totally unique and particular to here.
That's really true, because there's a lot of things that carry through, but each area is a little bit idiosyncratic as far as what people buy.
Right. Right. I have this little newsletter from Neighboring Food Co-op Association written by Urban Crowell, and they note that in New England and New York alone there are nearly 9,000 co-ops with 9.5 million members. This is just New England and New York State. And in Connecticut, Fiddleheads is one of how many?
5
co-ops?
Grocery.
Okay.
Yeah, grocery co-ops. Urban there is talking about lots of different types of co-ops.
Right.
Credit unions are co-ops.
Right.
So, lots of things like that.
Well, when I went on the site, the emphasis did definitely seem to be on grocery and food cooperatives, but that's huge. Now, one of the points about cooperatives is the idea that it's a growing business model, and the way it grows is that cooperatives cooperate with one another.
They do, yes.
So how does this, can you name a concrete example of how this happens with Fiddleheads in terms of the other co-ops in the region, like Willimantic, or what's the new one, Nowang, for instance? What sort of initiatives does Fiddleheads have going?
Well, I can say that since I'm in the back frequently, prepping all that lovely kale, I get to see the deliveries come in, and frequently we'll have a delivery of eggs for us and for Local Beet in Chester, and or honey comes in for us and Local Beet in Chester, and so we end up being a place where people can exchange between other co-ops and local vendors, and that's
we have, as a group of Connecticut co-ops, have been meeting the past couple of years to see how we could do the actual purchasing maybe together better, and that's definitely a work in progress. We need to take we need to get to that critical step. One of the things, though, that co-ops do really well is information sharing. It's very transparent. I can get information from a co-op in Texas, and you can ask any question. You can ask a very, what seems like a very straightforward question to something much more technical, something about their bylaws or whatever else, you know. So that information sharing is a big deal. So, you know, I would count that as a big deal. And you just quoted Urban Krell from Neighboring
Food Co-op Association.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the New England co-ops working together and meeting, and actually Urban is a big proponent of various types of co-ops cooperating. So, you know, it's a great model. A co-op is a great model because it's your money is vested locally. You get, when you shop at a co-op, it's 3 to 7 times the amount of money that stays in the community. And also, let's see, I was going to say something about that, and I've kind of lost track.
And the little train went off the
yeah,
track.
the little train went off the track. But co-ops, I think I was talking about co-ops as a business model.
Right.
And they're very stable. It's a very stable thing. When we went through this recent recession, the co-ops in northern Italy and in the Basque region of France and in England were much more stable. In northern Italy, they have a lot of co-ops. When we were kind of in a recession, they were actually expanding. So, you know, there's a commitment. There's a local commitment. The money stays local. It's a very good business model.
Well, what you just said about the European co-ops, I think holds true of, well, specifically Fiddleheads as well. You know, the rest of the country is in a recession. Fiddleheads has been growing.
Fiddleheads has been growing.
Growing
Yes.
tremendously.
Yes.
And I mean, since
Yeah.
2000, I mean, especially since 2000.
Well,
2008.
the store, 2008, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when we started.
So you mentioned a video. You ladies brought some footage
We did.
for us to watch. Cool, very cool. What can you tell us about this? Introduce what we're going to see.
Sheila.
Okay.
Way to put her on the spot.
Well, we were talking
Sorry.
about. Yeah, I actually think the video speaks for itself. Honestly,
Fair
I
enough.
do. I really
Yeah.
do.
Sounds
And-
good.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
So do we want to, Bob? Are we going to go ahead and roll with it? Okay. So.
There I am.
Good morning on this cold and blustery February day. It's hard to believe that spring is right around the corner, but it is. My name is Amelia Lord, and I work in the produce department at Fiddleheads Natural Food Co-op. And I'm going to talk to you today a little bit about some of our local offerings and what to expect in the coming spring season. Pretty soon we're having a CSA fair. We're hosting a CSA fair. It's March 10th, Fiddleheads and a few other locations. CSA stands for Community Supported Agriculture, and it's a way of supporting local farms and local farmers. You buy a share into their farm and you share in the bounty and also the disappointments sometimes of agriculture. So typically that means you get a basket or a bag of produce once a week. The fair will be here for a couple hours. There will be farmers set up with tables and an indication of what you would get in a typical share and how much each farm would charge for something like that. So it's a really exciting way to support local farmers and local agriculture.
See local food, and I mean some local produce here, but what are our expectations in the next few months?
Well, first I should say that this is not the most exciting time of year to see local produce in the co-op because it's, the second weekend of February, and the pickings are pretty slim. So right now we have local organic wheatgrass. Very exciting, but that's about it for what's growing right now.
Sprouts.
Yes, and we also have sprouts. But soon, very soon, a few weeks hopefully, we'll have asparagus, and we'll start to have local radishes, the red radishes, and some of the hardier greens like kale and Swiss chard, perhaps. So that will be very exciting. It's always a nice time of year when they start coming in, the local greens especially.
You know, in general, it seems like having local produce brings us new varieties. And, you know, as some of the things become, some items like potatoes become very much less standard. Could you talk about that a little bit?
Sure, and there's a very exciting example of that exact thing with our watermelon radishes. One of our local farmers, Provider Farms, they well, the way that we've dealt with most local farmers is we have relationships with. They send us a list of what they're harvesting that week, and we get to choose from what they have. And watermelon radishes appeared on the list one day, and we thought, well, sure, we'll get those. And we had them in for a while, but no one was really familiar with them, and so we started sampling them. And everybody loves watermelon radishes right now, and I'll show you so you can find out. So this is a watermelon radish. Unfortunately, it's not local. The local season has just run out. They're a good storage item, I think, but there's not much left anywhere locally. So these come from Wisconsin, but that's a good example too. So we started getting these from right around the corner in Salem, and you know, they're interesting to look at. They have this lovely, smooth, pale green skin, but inside. Let's hope this is a good one. Inside, yeah, they're really stunning and delicious. So they have this gorgeous fuchsia, purpley pink interior. They're crunchy and sweet and have a nice hydrating quality to them. And they became insanely popular. You know, we really couldn't keep them in the store. And so what local farmers decided to grow influenced what local people decided to eat. And so we have them all the time now until the season runs out in Wisconsin, I guess. And we'll look forward to them next year. But so that's a really great way that local produce, local economy can influence our decisions are, what we choose to eat.
Could you just talk a little bit about some different varieties of potatoes and beets, maybe?
Yeah, so this can be a kind of depressing time of year. Should I even say it? I don't know. Everybody's sort of depressed. But there are lots of things to look forward to. And the root vegetables are really exciting. So we have three kinds of beets right now. We have the typical red beet. You know, everybody knows these, sometimes canned. But if you've only had a canned beet, please try a fresh one. They're so good. It's a totally different thing. So we also have these golden beets and something called choga beets. It's Italian, but I'm going to cut this open because you really can't miss this. So, this is so fun. So choga beets, they're also sometimes called candy stripe, and you'll see why. Because look, they're so beautiful. The golden beets have this really intensely yellow, saffron-like hue inside, and they all taste really sweet, like a beet should, but slightly different from the red beets, which can be more minerally. The golden ones are usually a little sweeter and subtle, and the choga are also pretty mild.
You know, when you're talking about local produce,
Yeah.
what I have noticed is that there's a lot of young farmers. Do you have a comment about that?
I think it's just the direction that the agricultural movement is going, and particularly organic. There are a lot of young people who are really passionate, typically really well educated and with a lot of knowledge, who are deciding to support local economies and get back to growing things. So
Right, and I
fantastic.
see. Right, I see now in the produce department you have seeds, and Bob pointed out that they're GE free, and GE stands for genetically engineered.
Yeah.
There's also the term GMO. Could you talk about that?
Sure. Well, GMO means genetically modified organism, and GE references genetically engineered. So at the co-op, we don't knowingly carry anything that is genetically modified organisms or is genetically engineered. It's one of our, what would you call it? One of our principles.
Principles.
Yes, one of our principles. And it's important because, well, or it's a requirement for organic as well. We can't be genetically modified. But at this point, you know, this is my personal opinion. We don't know enough yet about genetic modification. I'm not comfortable having it in my food system. So it's something that we minimize and certainly make sure not to have. So with seeds, sometimes genetically modified seeds, they're engineered to not reproduce more than one time. So you get a single surface seed. And
Do you, I mean, yeah, I, you know, one of the things that I've read about recently was about the tragic situation in India with farmers. And there is a very strong food advocate and seed advocate, Vandana Shiva. Do you have you read about that?
I'm a little familiar with it, but
Yeah.
I could always stand to be more informed.
Well, it's just that, you know, Vandana Shiva has started, well, she's not started, she's been doing it for a while with help of saving seeds.
Yeah.
And because what has happened is that large companies are trying to sell their seeds to the farmers exclusively. So there's no longer access, you know, to the traditional seeds. They always save seeds themselves.
Yeah.
And so they're trying to change that, because once the farmers buy into that, they're more or less they're stuck, and they're in some cases doomed, because they don't produce as well as advertised, but they end up owing a lot of money, and they lose their farms, and a lot of them commit suicide.
Yeah.
So it's a bad situation. Speaking of that, you're going to get another brand.
Yeah, it's what you just described is a huge problem. The Heart Seeds Company is a local Connecticut business, and they have really great quality seeds. We're also going to be getting in tomorrow a delivery from Seed Saver Exchange, and they specialize in heirloom varieties. You know, these seeds that are really going to be lost unless someone plants them and grows them and continues to protect our agricultural heritage.
So, I mean, one of the basic ideas behind local businesses is that you keep money in the community. And so in co-ops and in family-owned businesses or small businesses, you're keeping the money local and regional. And you'll also, what I've found is that you can also have some effect on how your local vendors are producing things. If you're asking for items with no pesticides or herbicides and et cetera, they will try and comply with that. And your distributors will, your local distributors, we get some things through a local distributor in Westerly, Rhode Island. And he tries very hard to find vendors that will comply with our with what we require as part of what we do. For instance, avoiding pesticides or high fructose corn syrup, and several things. We try to find organic, but we're not strictly organic. But what I find is that as a business, we can have influence on local vendors that you couldn't have that same influence on a large corporation. So I think that's important. And we have a lot of local products. Besides in produce, we have bakery, we have honey, we have maple syrup, we have packaged goods.
So
we have soaps, we have a lot of things in the health and beauty aid section that are locally made.
well, speaking of milk, should we go see the milk?
Yes.
Let's go see the milk.
Yeah.
Maybe we should have said, let's go try to see the milk, because there isn't actually any right now. But we do carry, how many varieties of local milk? How many local dairies do we support?
We have Wojciechowski's, Baldwin Brook, what's the other one? The other
Brush Hill?
Brush Hill. Well,
Gaia,
Farmer's Cow,
Farmer's Cow.
Gaitas. So, you know, we really emphasize local.
Yeah.
And you were going to talk about the cycle of milk.
I was going to talk about the cycle of milk, and the cycle right now is that we have no milk. But the dairy industry is a really difficult one to be successful in, and it occurred to me one day that being here, having the co-op, and having other local markets and local businesses that support local dairies makes it possible to provide a product that people want and need, and help support people who are going to produce it. So, for example, Baldwin Brook, which we don't have any of right now, they're a raw milk dairy in Canterbury, Connecticut. Their cows are grass-fed, I believe, and really well cared for. And it's a couple who runs the dairy, and the Mavis, the Mavis, who helps run Baldwin Brook, she was able to leave her previous career as a school teacher in order to be a dairy farmer, and so they bring their milk here, and other local businesses and the people who would want it come here and get it, and we keep that money in the community. It's a safer system as well. If there's ever any issue, you know exactly where to go to take care of it, and it's something that's easy to keep track of. And
So what I noticed is what you said we were out of milk, but I think you meant we were out of raw milk, because
we are. Sorry.
we do have some. We do have some milk.
We
don't want to mislead
No.
people.
I wouldn't want to mislead people, and I certainly would not want to imply that we do not have any milk at all. We do. The raw milk tends to be especially popular, so we run out of that pretty quickly.
So the only other thing I did want to continue to mention was that we have local meats. We get local meats from at least 3 different places, and so I think. What else? Let me just say.
We also have local flour, don't we? Local cornmeal,
We have
local flour. So I think there's almost every
local whole wheat flour.
Yeah.
And local cheeses, of course. So you know, that's really. I'm thinking that there's something else, but anyway. So I think that's good for now.
Yeah. So bye. Thanks for coming.
You know what? A PS. There is a PS here. I was just trying to think that if you shop locally, your local stores, your family stores, and co-ops, you really do keep that money in your local area. You also have some impact on your food system. Really, really important, as everyone knows. So co-ops, our heart is in co-ops. There's 5 in Connecticut at this point, and they are owned by their members. And so there is a very high degree of influence when you shop at a co-op, a very high degree of influence on the food system. So thanks.
There we are. I was waiting for the little, ladies, that was fun.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun. You look wonderful. Terrific.
Well, yes.
Don't be shy. Don't be shy.
So
I noticed that there was no raw milk
Yeah.
in the fridge. That's amazing. There was a time we couldn't give the stuff away. Again, that's quite a turnaround. Does that have to do with...
when couldn't we give?
Actually, earlier in the year.
You know what it is? The market for it fluctuates a little bit because sometimes the families who have been buying it, and we've adjusted our orders to that,
Right.
they move away.
Yeah.
And what do you know? We have a lot of raw milk left, but lately it's we just sell out all the time.
Right.
You know, something that I loved about the raw milk situation. It was a few months ago. The cows were calving, and so there was a much lower supply than usual, and so there was a little sign up that said, you know, basically the cows come first, and you'll have to wait a little while until you can have milk. And I really appreciated that. I just thought that was so great, and it really reinforced again this connection between our local area, the season, nature. You know, we're not enforcing our will on anything. Well, I don't think so, not usually. And we get to follow what comes first, and you know, the cows come first. And
which reminds me, you know, we're
that.
not getting raw goat's milk right now for the same reason, because the kids come
that's
first.
just so cool.
Yeah.
It is, but it's interesting because I remember being in the store a few times during those weeks when that sign was up, and sometimes, you know, sign right here, folks, and but really having some conversations with some people, wanting to know, well, why isn't it here, and trying to, you know, having conversations, trying to get across to them, well, this is why it follows, there is a natural order here with the animals, and that's something that you don't get when I think a lot of people, a lot of people understood, and there are other people who are just, they're used to going to the grocery store and get what I want now.
Seasonality is something that I maybe talk about too much with customers,
but
it's really, yeah, you know, I think it's really important. So, but also actually education is a huge part of the cooperative principles. So I take it upon myself, and I know that Sheila's really great about that too. But when somebody has a really simple question like, "Hey, do you have plums?" and I go into this long explanation, and finally, this happened recently. I caught myself and said, "No, I'm sorry, we don't have plums, and we won't again until probably August."
Catch a slight eye glazing over in the other person.
Yeah. So I was like, "Okay, no, you don't need to know all the reasons why plums are not in season right now, or they don't travel well from Argentina, so we won't have them." But maybe he did want to know. So,
a lot of farmers nowadays, they are extending their season with hoops, and even if they don't use heat in their greenhouses, things will grow, and so the seasons are, you know, I think in produce you're finding probably that you get lettuce later in the year than you're expecting, and kale and things like that.
Well, you've got this whole global climate change things. I mean, it's not, you can't predict based off of, you know, the farmer's almanac anymore.
Well, and that's also a great thing about working with local producers is when we have a 3-day heat wave, we can see that in the store. You know, spinach all of a sudden in late fall, early winter, there's spinach, local spinach, which would not be there otherwise. And we certainly can't get in from our large organic distributors because there's no way a 3-day heat wave in you know, Washington state is going to really reach us. At least it's not as likely. So I love that of the moment factor with working with local producers. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Are there plans to are there plans for this coming year to try to increase the volume of local produce or local products, regardless of the department in the store? Is that a conscious effort?
Oh, it's a very conscious effort. It's, you know, local is really number one for us. Because, you know, a cooperative is part of local sustainability, it's very important for us to seek out and support local vendors. It's especially important, I think, in produce because what you want, I mean, part of what you're looking at is food security. So the more that you have a place for farmers to sell their food, aside from farmers markets, which are also great, the more that you encourage the development of agriculture here. And I think we're getting really good. I put a pitch in for, you know, some of the local people in government who have supported this, and I put a pitch in for Joe Courtney because he's been very supportive of local agriculture. So that's really important. But the specifics of your question, we really would seek out local bakers, people who are making honey, and of course the demand is there for honey. People want local honey.
Right.
And local maple syrup. We can get maple syrup from Vermont. We could get maple syrup from the Midwest. But we want to get it locally, regionally, as close as possible. So the short answer is yes, we actively seek out people. And if I notice that a vendor and they're local, I'll seek them out. I'll seek out a baker or whatever and find out about them. We're not necessarily going to take on everyone because we want quality products, and we do have food guidelines, and those, if you are producing something locally and it's got preservatives in it that are carcinogenic or whatever, we're not going to sell your product. But if you have a straightforward product, if it's organic, great. It doesn't have to be organic, but if it's natural, straightforward ingredients, a limited number of ingredients, all those good things, then we're very interested.
You actually just sort of covered another question I had in mind, which is, and this is something I've heard when I've been shopping in the store, whatever, from newcomers, the question, is everything here organic? The answer to which would be no.
Yeah.
And that people still have to read the labels, or
they do. If they just eat organic, they do have to look for the USDA label, or also look at the ingredients, because in some cases not everything in that product is organic, but some of the things are organic. The produce section, though, is mostly organic, I think.
Mostly. We have 3 items that we carry that are conventionally grown.
which are
watercress, which is hydroponic. So there are really it's grown in the water.
Right.
It's not too bad. And there are young Thai coconuts, which we haven't been able to find organic, and jicama. So they were all customer requests,
right.
And the only time that we carry, the only time that we carry anything that's conventionally grown in produce is because someone has requested it, and we haven't been able to find an organic substitute or
Right.
an organic version. However, our local farmers are not all certified organic, although with the exception of one, they all grow organically. So that's another benefit of working with people and having close relationships with people, is we really know how they're growing things and what they're using on their farms and on their crops. So there are no pesticides or no harmful pesticides. There are a couple organic pesticides that are permitted. And then we have some farmers who don't use any at all. And then we have other farmers who are certified organic and may use minimal approved methods. And then, there was a big call for local corn this past summer.
Right.
And there's a local farmer that grows fantastic corn. They're not organic, but we approached them and they don't use genetically modified seed, and so we figured, well, we're pretty happy with that.
Right.
And we just make sure to educate and inform as best we possibly can. So we have big signs that try to get as much of that information across as possible. And we're always looking to increase our local produce, particularly fruit. That's the big request. Everybody wants local fruit, and it's really tricky because fruit is on the list of the Dirty Dozen foods, produce items, fruits and vegetables that have the highest pesticide load.
Right.
Typically, it's fruit, and so we sort of have a departmental policy that we try not to carry anything conventionally grown that's on that Dirty Dozen list. But we're working with local farmers to see what we can do about that.
We may have local organic apples in the fall.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh,
That's
neat.
really exciting.
Yeah, which is something that's very hard to do in Connecticut.
That
It is.
Yeah.
And part of part of that is I think the education aspect is so important, and you know, organic apples can look shiny and round and beautiful, and they can also look lumpy,
Very bad.
really bad,
But tastes good.
amazingly good.
Yes.
Which is why I like to have my little knife handy, or if I see somebody looking over anything with that questioning eye, and I think, huh, you want to try it? And so I, you know, whip it open and slice it up and give them a taste.
Something you're obviously not shy about doing is whipping open those.
I really
Those
need
were
to get,
gorgeous,
I
by
know,
the
weren't
way.
they? They're so
That
beautiful.
watermelon, that was like the platonic idea of what a watermelon
I
is
know.
supposed to look like.
It really showed up well on camera. I keep dreaming about one of those folding knives that I can slip into my apron and pull out and slice up. Excuse me, slice up an apple.
Yeah.
Because I think that would be fun, and it is fun. So
Yeah.
So, I've actually run out of things to say. Isn't it terrible? Oh my goodness gracious. So, Sheila, quick question. Do you know about how much did Fiddleheads gross this birthday?
Oh.
Kind of overall. I am curious. I just really am.
Gee, I don't know if I can say that,
Okay.
actually. That's
Or you could, but then you'd have to kill me?
Well, we had our best day ever. I can say that. And we did much better than we expected. So, but giving actual numbers, I don't know about that, Janice.
Okay. Top secret classified information.
Well, not really, but
Okay.
I just don't know, you know. So,
but the growth has really been dramatic, and over the
Right.
last few
I mean,
birthdays, it's
yeah.
just, you know, it's really exciting and really gratifying. The staff work really hard, and we have an amazingly dedicated crew of volunteers who make it possible. And
working members, perhaps.
Well,
Thank
that's
you. Sorry.
working member. Yeah, but
Working
that's you
members,
brought up
not volunteers.
a good point. I think I guess it was a year ago when Mark Roberts and I came on to talk to Rona about the 4th anniversary. It was still very much almost entirely volunteer. The two of you are, I think, proof of the growth of Fiddleheads. You are both part-time paid employees, and you are not the only ones. There are how many actual
I think we have
staff members
about
now?
15, and we're looking to
Really?
grow. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It
I
is.
mean, our business, it's sort of interesting. Every year this happens. We do well during the holiday months, November and December, and then the first time this happened, I thought, okay, that was really good, but you know, it's going to fall off. But it didn't fall off. It stayed, and then it grew in February and March, and that appears to be the pattern that we're having now. So we're really busy. So, but I'm wondering if we're going to have a B-roll of our birthday.
Weren't there
at
supposed to be
all.
birthday shots?
It got lost.
You're kidding!
Oh no!
Oh. Oh, now I am disappointed.
That's too bad.
What
Okay.
happened? Did the machine swallow it? Okay.
So-
live television, we roll with it, kids.
Which,
What would we have seen?
5 minutes.
Crowds.
You have 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Oh, we have 5 minutes, which means we probably need to start wrapping it up because we need to leave room for the community calendar.
we
all
have
the
5
events.
no, we have 5 minutes.
Oh, we have 5 minutes to talk.
Yeah, so,
Okay.
yeah, we have 5
Okay.
minutes. So,
And we thought we were just going to fill this up so easy. Yes. So anyway, ladies, what's your goal? What's your number one goal for the produce department for the coming year,
Oh man.
coming season?
coming 5 years.
Well, I'd like.
Or what's your wish?
I would really like another produce cooler. I mean, this is getting down
Whoa.
to I know
Really?
Oh, okay.
encroaching on the store real estate because we already have 3, but I think we could fill another one, and I would really like to see some more local fruit. I'd like to encourage that. It would just be so exciting. I don't know. It's a great question.
Well, that's a good answer.
Local fruit, you know, peaches. We used to at one point, Connecticut was the 2nd largest producer of peaches, It's hard to believe.
The best peach I ever had was grown in Connecticut.
Yeah.
I remember.
There's a little house in downtown New London that has a little peach tree right in front of it.
And we certainly can grow peaches. And with climate change, maybe we won't have. I guess there were in the early in the early 20th century there were a series of 3 bad winters, and it wiped that out. But I mean, people still grow peaches in Connecticut, but I think that more local fruit. That's a hard thing to get. It's more. That's a little bit more difficult than the vegetables.
And what else for you, Sheila? When you're standing in the store and you're looking at the shelves, or you're looking at, the inventory lists, what are your wishes for the year? What you want to see happen? What you'd like to bring into the store? What changes you anticipate?
Okay, I want a kombucha machine.
Oh,
Yeah.
a kombucha
dispenser.
machine exists.
That sounds a little like an odd way to say it, but a kombucha dispenser.
Okay.
Yeah, kombucha. We sell a lot of it, and I just think a kombucha dispenser would be good fun.
I don't even know what it is.
Yeah, kombucha.
I make it at home, actually, and for those of our home viewers who
Yes.
don't know what it is, it's basically, it's not, a mushroom is not the right word, but there's a mushroom, and it's in a bucket of water that has tea and sugar, and this mushroom, this organism, eats the sugar, and it creates a somewhat fermented product that is kind of, it depends on how much sugar you put. It can be very sweet, or the way I make it, very dry.
Fizzy and delightful.
And what I like to do is then pour it out of the bucket, put it in a jar with anise, burdock, spice, pear, cardamom, etc. Let that sit for another 2 weeks, filter and decant that. And the nifty thing about kombucha, as opposed to kefir, which you have to change every 24 hours or blah, 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 it grows. It doesn't take, it's very low maintenance. And so that sounds a delightful idea. I really like that. So hopefully sometime in the coming year or so.
Yeah, I mean that's another area of growth, so to speak. Fermented products.
Well, anyway, ladies, thank you so much
Thank you,
for
Janice.
being on, Sheila.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Janice.
Wonderful. Maybe we can do this again.
Yeah.
Sometime in the future. And for those of you at home, thank you very much for stopping by. We are going to wind out and go out with community calendar, all sorts of lovely news and events in the area that you will want to know about. So just sit tight for a couple of minutes, enjoy the information. Thank you for coming, and have a wonderful, wonderful evening out.
You're telling me the same is Clark again. I don't want to hear it. Screaming if the screen goes crashing in. It's the 7th time I fixed it. You say it's time to walk the dog again. And you get off of my face. Tell me, does this madness happening? It's a center state of grace, baby. I don't want to be your man. If all you want to do is bitch, though I try to understand. You know I'm doing all I can. And all you want to do is bitch. This wasn't in my plan. No. I don't know when I have felt so low, or when I'm just lonely. Friends of all suggest that I should go. Still I want you only. You complain that I don't make enough, and you get up in my face. I don't know what happened to this love, 'cause I don't see a trace, baby. I don't want to be your man. If all you want to do is bitch, well, I try to understand. No, I'm doing all I can. All you want to do is bitch. This wasn't in my plan. If I go on my way, maybe come back someday. Make some sense of this disarray. every time I fixed it. You say I gotta walk the dog again, and you get up in my face. Tell me, does this madness have an end? 'Cause this ain't no steady grade.